Hello and welcome back to the Best for Baby podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Rogers Sargent, and I am so excited to be back. It has been summer holidays, and as a result, I've had a little person with me, and we've been on holiday, of course. More on that actually on another podcast that I will be recording later today because it gave me some ideas about something I can share with you on my holiday that might be helpful for parents. But yes, as you know, summer holidays take up a lot of parents' time, and for many of you, you may still be pregnant or with a tiny baby, so perhaps you haven't got into the summer holidays routine of things, or lack of routine of things, shall I say. But yes, it does kind of bring things to a terrible standstill. So I apologize for not being there, and thank you if you have found me again and come back. I really do appreciate it. I did in the holidays manage to do a podcasting workshop, and it's indicated that one of the most important things is, if you are going on holiday, to batch record loads of episodes so that you don't have a break. And obviously that never happened. And they said, perhaps that will be the thing that breaks your podcast. So if you are listening, please do like this, or, I don't know, when I listen to podcasts, they always say rate, review, and subscribe. So if you're listening and you know how to do any of those things, please do, because it'll just give me the knowledge that you're out there and you're listening. As you know, I'm all new at the podcasting, but I love it so much and I've missed it very much. And I'm excited to get back into it and get going again now that my daughter's back at school. I'd love to hear if there's anything you'd like me to talk about. So yes, any kind of comments, any kind of feedback would be very much appreciated. So without any further ado, let's hop into today's topic, which I think is going to be an incredibly helpful podcast episode, particularly if you are pregnant and expecting a little one, or if your baby is very small. It's about some of my favorite things that I used for my daughter. Now, those were things that I selected to buy once I had a baby, based on my many, many years of working with babies and finding products that I thought, aha, this is a good one, and that I had recommended for years and years to parents. So when my turn came along to have a baby, they were the things that I went out and got. I've just picked 10 of my favorite things, otherwise the episode goes on for far too long. And, if this is helpful, I can do another episode with more things, but I've picked my real favorites for the early newborn stage. And all of the products here are things that I know intimately. So it's not things I've heard of and, or seen in somebody's home. They are things that I bought and used myself, except one I don't have, but I know it very, very well. And that's the last product we're going to discuss. As full disclosure, I have recently become an Amazon affiliates member. So wherever you see an Amazon link, if you click on that and then purchase the product there, I get a very small percentage. It's not going to replace my day job, but it does just give me a little bit of something. But that said, I want you to know that I'm not doing this podcast episode for that reason, and I'm certainly not going to promote products that I wasn't already promoting. So I'm someone who's very, I like to do the right thing in every situation. And so for me, I feel quite justified in doing this podcast episode because I know these are things that I've been recommending for years. So when I joined the affiliates program, it's very much things that I go, oh my gosh, I tell everyone about these things because they're amazing and they were so helpful and I loved having them for my baby. So just as a promise to you, I won't abuse any trust you may place in me. So if you don't like the sound of that, then just don't click on those links. Just look at the products and find them elsewhere. That also said, there's one or two that are no longer available on Amazon because my daughter's quite big now. But I've put the unavailable link there so you can see the product, have a look at it, and make a great informed choice when you buy something similar. So let's get into it. The first thing is actually something I've spoken about before, and that is the Baby Bather Infant Pad. Now, on one of my previous podcast episodes, I spoke about baby bath time, and I spoke about this. It's like a little lilo for babies to float in. At the time, I wasn't on the affiliates program. So in that podcast, if you do listen to it, I say I have no affiliation with this product. But since then, I do. So I won't put this link back on that podcast episode. Here in this episode, I have got the link below. Now, this was a real game changer for me. I loved it so much. And actually, it was a friend of mine who suggested I get it because they had used it with their babies and just thought it was amazing. So we tried it and it was amazing. It's not an inflatable Lilo, it's fabric made and it's got tiny little beads inside it. And what it does is it floats semi-submerged in the bath, and you pop your tiny newborn baby in there and they can float in the water, and it's just so much easier than trying to handle a baby in a bath without anything, or as a lot of the baby baths or baby bath seats are quite hard, and for a newborn you kind of still trying to hold them and be careful, and you're worried about them bumping, and it's quite stressful. And this was just lovely because it was a soft thing. I put my baby in it, and in the first weeks of life we certainly didn't put her in the big bath. I had her in the kitchen sink, so I didn't even have to bend over, and she just was so soft and comfortable, and she loved it and we loved it. The ears are submerged underwater, and I did quite a lot of research at the time if this would be a problem, and it certainly doesn't seem to be an issue unless your baby already has a problem with their ears or has an ear infection or anything like that. So all in all, it was amazing. I used it from the very early newborn right the way through until my daughter was actually about a year old. And I think that's probably unusual. It didn't get too small. She was quite long. My daughter is very tall and very long, but she still managed, her upper body would float on it and her little legs would splash and kick. And as she gets older, I know my daughter's quite a sedentary child. She doesn't need to run around and get a lot of physical stimulation. She's quite still. She likes to sit and play. So maybe if your babies are going to go on to be more active children, it's not going to last you as long. But certainly you will use it happily until your baby is comfortably sitting in the bath. The one thing I will say about it as well is I just bought those little plastic hooks that you get, and you stick them onto the bath wall, and it's got a little hook, and I'd always hang it up over the bath so it would dry completely in between, because you don't want those little beads on the inside to get moldy. And as time went by, I would then use it to bath my baby, and I could hop in the bath and she would float in between my ankles on her little baby bath, and it was just a lovely chilled bathing experience, which I don't know how you would have that to bath with your very tiny baby if you're trying to have them supported in a bath chair or any other way. So I could actually bath with her from a very early stage and have that lovely bonding, wonderful time. Obviously, the only thing was that the bath was never very warm, and I like quite a hot bath, and we had to keep it cool for her. But other than that, it was amazing to be able to bath together. So that's my first product, is the company's called Moonvin, and it's the Baby Bather Infant Pad. The second thing to stay with baby bath time is it's called the Miniland, which is a company, B-shaped bath and environmental thermometer. Now, this was a random, when we did our baby wish list, I knew I wanted a thermometer to check the room temperature and a thermometer to check the bath, and so I thought, well, let me just get one thing that does both. I hardly ever used it as an environmental thermometer, so to check the temperature in her room, but certainly I used it in the bath every single time, and actually we're still using it. We've never changed the batteries. My daughter is 5 years old, and it goes, and it's amazing. And what it is, it's a little thermometer. I used to put it in the bath, and it just floats around on the water, and if it shows a green light, it means the water's a bit cold, and if it shows a red light, it means the water's too hot. So I'd like to be able to say to you the optimum temperature for a baby's bath is, but I actually didn't research that before I did this episode. So I always had a window of about 36 to 38 degrees for my baby's bath temperature. And the bath thermometer beeps accordingly so that you stay within a safe range for your baby. It's a really cute floating little bumblebee. and it became one of my daughter's best friends, actually. It's called Bumble, and it often goes on holiday with us when we're going on beach holidays, and she plays with it in the sand, she plays with it in the sea. She always insists on it being one of the bath toys that go along. And still, at this age, she's taking it with her. She's just adored it. And as I say, it worked really well to guide the bath temperature, and it never stopped working. So 5 years later, it's still going strong, and an amazing product, I think. So please have a look at that one, the bee-shaped bath and environmental thermometer. Again, with the bathing theme, a lovely present people will certainly give you are baby bath towels. We know the hooded bath towels are, it's a standard thing that people give for babies. And I know there's so many beautiful companies that embroider them, and they are very lovely. However, again, this is something I just randomly landed on and happened to put it on my baby wish list, and somebody bought them for me, and I soon bought a second one. So I've only got 2 of them. Now, we've used these again since my baby was born. We're still using them. She's now, how tall is my daughter? She's 1.3 meters tall. So she's a tall 5-year-old. She's the size of a 6-7-year-old. So she's really tall, and we still use them because we love them so much. They still look brand new. I have a white one with a pink piping around it. It's still white. Everything else I own that's white looks revolting and has long ago been gotten rid of and goes grey, whatever. This thing still looks white, and we have used it a lot. It's not that it hasn't been used very much. I don't do any fancy washing. It's just normal washing, and it still looks amazing, and it still feels amazing. We also have a grey one that texturally feels slightly different, but it's a lovely feeling. Now, the brand, I didn't say it at the start, but it's called the San Francisco Baby Towels for Newborns. And again, the links will be here. And these are supposedly 100% rayon, which is derived from bamboo. Now, I don't know if that's better for you than cotton, or if it's worse for you than cotton. I have no idea. So please make your own decision on that one. I just know they just have a lovely feeling. They dry the baby really nicely. Some towels just don't dry you. So they dry the baby really nicely, and they themselves are quick drying. Not super quick drying like, your Dock and Bay quick dry towels. It's not like that, but they dry quicker. So it would always, by the time, even in winter, I came to give her next bath, it was properly dried. And it does have quite a lovely sized hood, and it's quite a big towel. So for me, they were just really lovely, lovely options. And because so many people did give me baby towels, I got to compare them to these ones. And I realized how nice these ones were in comparison to so many others. That doesn't mean I didn't use others, of course you do. But it might be nice knowing that people will probably give you these as gifts once your baby is born and have your baby's name embroidered on it. So maybe just get one of these, because I know the temptation is to go out and go, oh, we need more than one, get a few towels. But what happened with me is all the other little baby towels were significantly smaller. So I wasn't able to use them for very long. And once I didn't have many of those, I bought myself another one. So we've just got the 2. She doesn't need more than 2. She's definitely at a stage that she shouldn't be using baby towels anymore, but we use them because we love them. And it's still mostly big enough for her at her age now. And these are towels, again, I always took one on holiday because it was just so lovely. So that's a very high recommendation indeed. Then if we look at nappy changing times, moving on to the next topic of products, I had a baby saver cot, which I'm not going to go into that one now, but it was a lovely idea because this was my daughter's little teeny tiny bedroom until she totally grew out of it. And it's a very small room. It wouldn't have fitted a full-sized cot in it. So this is the chest of drawers that we had with it, and it was the Oh Baby Space Saver, in case you're interested. This wasn't supposed to be part of the podcast, but just so you know, we had the Space Saver cot, so it was tiny, and we didn't have space for a changing table. And so what I did was I bought, it's called the Seba Baby, or the Keba, I don't know, you'll see in the link, you decide how to pronounce it, Baby Hard Waterproof Changing Mat. And what it was like a board, and then it was padded with a plastic cover on it, and you could choose pretty designs and choose it to match your room, and then you put 4 little screws, and then it would go on top of your cot. And so it went perpendicular to the direction of your cot, and it went across it like that. So it became a changing table. And then obviously when your baby's in the cot, you just put it on the ground. And it was amazing. And then I also had like a little thing where my nappies would all hang somewhere nearby. But that was my changing table. And that was just there all day long. And as soon as she needed to go into her cot, it wasn't like something that had been screwed. You just pick it up. And even though you just pick it up, it was very sturdy and firm on the cot because of the 4 little screws that kind of clipped it perfectly into place. So it was amazing. And when my daughter was 8 months old, it was during the pandemic, and we were so blessed and so lucky. My husband managed to get us to South Africa, and we had to stay there for 4 months. And we stayed with my parents, and I was on maternity, and my husband was able to work from home at that stage. And so we were using it there for 4 months. So we used it for the full first year of my daughter's life. And I loved it so much. I still insisted on bringing it back, and we continued to use it after her first year of life. And it was firm and steady. And I've still got it in the loft with all my baby things. Now, this is a product that is no longer available through Amazon. So I have put the link to the actual company that sells it, but most of the information on that website is in a different language. So I'm not sure if they will ship it here, but the link is there, and you can have a look at the product at least, and then see if you want to get something similar off Amazon or wherever you can find, or if you can actually directly order it from that company. The choice is yours. Also, to do with the changing nappies theme, I'm not going to put a link for this one, but this is just your Tesco brand Fred and Flow cotton squares. Now, I had 2 changing areas, and next to both I had a little Tupperware of water that would stay there for the day, and then I'd change it every day. And then next to it, I would have my little cotton pads. Now, the biggest ones I could find were from Tesco. They were the Fred and Flow, and they square, probably about just under 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. And I would just dip that in the water and clean her bottom with it. And I loved doing that because I knew it was, I know we get wet wipes that are just water wipes and plain water, but these I knew there was like 0 chemicals because it was water and the cotton pad. And the key here was to take quite a lot of water and sort of squeeze it so it was running down off her bottom and really cleaning. It's not like a slightly moist wipe. It was loads of water that I would use to clean her bottom. So most of the cleaning would happen from copious amounts of water rather than the wiping. And then you just throw all of that away and then change your water. And every time you're taking a clean square into the water, so your water can stay there for the day because it's just clean cotton wool going in. So those were really great. And as I say, the biggest ones I could find were from Tesco, the Fred and Flow square cotton pads. And I do think using water and cotton pads is a great thing to clean your baby's bottom with, because again, there's no chemicals. And while we're on that topic, I've said it, I think, on a lot of podcast episodes, I would then always put a bit of coconut oil. So I'd have coconut oil there too, as well as the barrier creams that I was using. But the coconut oil just moisturized that skin. It's a bit of an antibacterial, and we never, ever had nappy rash. And in the early days when they are pooing 10 times a day, then I'd put the barrier cream on as well. But I found as she got older, and I knew she wasn't going to be pooing anytime soon, I would just put coconut oil on and no barrier cream, and it was amazing. It was a massive reduction in any chemicals on her skin, and as I say, we never had nappy rash. Then moving on, this is not so much something I used on her bottom. Occasionally I did, because I was trying to be environmentally conscious, but I've used them instead of wet wipes for hands and faces and all those things, and I'm still using them. And these are my beloved cheeky wipes. Now, if you haven't already heard of cheeky wipes, you will have seen something very similar by now, I'm sure. And so the idea is that you're not using cotton pads or wet wipes, and we're saving the environment. Again, also, there's no chemicals because you're just using water. So they are really, really helpful. They are little toweling material squares, probably 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters or so. And they are amazing because they're just so useful. You get a pile, a huge pile, and again, I can't remember off my head how many you get, but probably like 50 or 40 or 30, but it's a lot. And they send you like a whole system that didn't work for me, but I'm going to tell you because it might work for you. So they send you a box with your pile of dry wipes, and you put them inside the box and you create a mixture of water, and they send you an essential oil as well. And you pop in your essential oil in there, and they tell you what sort of concentration. And the idea is that these dry little flannels, shall we call them, sit in this water and essential oil, and they smell amazing and they become moist, and so they form like a wet wipe. Then you take it out, you either wipe your baby's bottom or their hands or their face, or use it for whatever you use it for, and then they send you another Tupperware, like a box that's got a lid that opens up, and you put the dirty one in there. They also send you little bags, like waterproof bags, clean and dirty, so that you can use them out and about instead of wet wipes. So it's an amazing environmental choice. Also, as I said, it's great because there's no chemicals and you get a bit of an essential oil, however you may feel about that. However, I never actually use them like that because I started off trying, and I'd have this big box full of wipes and we didn't go through them quickly enough, and it sat for a while, and after a while it just smelled a bit damp, moldy-ish. I never saw mold on them, but it just got that smell I didn't like. And in the end, what I did was I just always have a pile of dry cheeky wipes at the changing table, and I would then dip those in my bowl of water and use them accordingly. Now that was quite a lot later, after it just didn't make sense to be using the cotton pads anymore. She was just too old for that. So I would then have this pile of these there, which was great. But that said, I'm still using them. I only ever got one set of the little wipes. And they are still in my kitchen in the little box that they come in, and I use them constantly. So my daughter will be in the kitchen and painting or eating or whatever she's doing, and then I just grab one, I'll rinse it, and we use it to wipe her. So they're amazing for just using cloths the whole time for cleaning whatever. And in fact, I now use them because I like to clean my surfaces with a clean cloth. I don't like to reuse cloths because they get a bit smelly. So every time I just take a clean cheeky wipe out, I use my spray and my water, whatever, and then I clean down all my kitchen surfaces with them as well. So they have lasted amazingly. My advice would be don't get the white ones like I did, because they've got all the disgusting stains on them. Get the coloured ones. I think they won't be as revolting 5 years later, but they've been amazing value. And I think if there's a way to buy them without the whole box system, if you think that you might not use the boxes with the water and the essential oils, then I would just buy this refill pile of wipes, because I think that would be really amazing value. You can have a look what suits you best. Moving on with all of those, someone gave me a brilliant piece of advice, which was to get those multi sock hangers. Because once you start doing laundry with all these cheeky wipes, you need it. So this is another product that's not available, but I've put it there for you to see what I ordered. But it's a low-cost item. You don't really need to do a lot of research. Just get something along those lines. I've just put the unavailable link there for you to be able to visualize what it is. And mine was a 3-pack of hangers, and they come hanging with 10 pegs. And so you just peg up all your cheeky wipes, and that's the quickest way to dry if you don't have a tumble dryer. That was super helpful because I've also used those for the teeny tiny baby socks, and later on when they're out of nappies, the little knickers. So we still use them. I'm still using cheeky wipes, so I still use the hangers for the cheeky wipes, but also, as I say, for all those tiny little items that my daughter has that are still pretty small. They are very, very helpful. So as I said, the link there, it's Kerith, the 3-pack sock dryer. That's what that link is for. It's not available, but it's just for you to get an idea. So you get like a multi-hanger, because it's amazing and super, super helpful. The other thing, I'm not going to put a link here. It's just, I've jarred my memory while I'm speaking about it, is someone said to me, get that and get a dehumidifier, because we don't have a tumble dryer. So we always had a dehumidifier that we just would pop under our washing, and dries your washing so much quicker, which is massively helpful for the winter months. So have a look for a dehumidifier if that's something you are thinking about, if you don't have a tumble dryer, because laundry is insane with a newborn, and certainly with a little person in the first years of life. Okay, so the next two products are to do with sleeping, and I have spoken about them before. I think I may even have links in previous episodes which are about, I think, Why Won't My Baby Sleep, it might be entitled. Now, this is something I always advise people to do. Wherever your baby's room is, where they sleep at night, let them have nighttime sleep with blackout blinds and a white noise machine. I mean, if you are completely blessed, or even in a different country where you have a big house and you're not living like we do in terrace houses where you can hear, a lot of outdoor noise, neighbors' noise, drilling, banging, dogs barking. Our house is small, so we might be downstairs unpacking the dishwasher and that's loud clangs and bangs. You might be lucky and you don't need to drown that out with white noise, then great. But if you're susceptible to lots of loud noises surrounding you, then at night time, it's ideal to use a white noise machine, because all it does is it raises your baseline noise slightly and the baby's used to it. So any noises that happen in the house have to be that much higher than your baseline noise in order for them to be heard. And it also decreases how much louder it is than the baseline, because we've brought up the baseline. And so your baby is less likely to be bothered by them. Now, a lot of people will use their phones. I know we did for a long time. We used Spotify. There was like a 3-hour white noise, or long 8-hour or something, white noise that we'd loop and just play. But this is the whole thing about having a mobile phone close to your baby all night long. And also you need your phone. So we'd sometimes be stuck with only one phone. So fortunately, a friend of mine said, just get a white noise machine. And I'd never thought of that. By that stage, my daughter was quite old and we'd been battling along with phones. So we started off when she was a tiny baby with the You and the Sheep, which I'm sure you'll know about. And that's a little sheep that's got a white noise maker. And it was actually one of my daughter's favorite toys as a little person. And it was good. It didn't drown out a lot of noise though. And if I could do it again, I would have just skipped the You and the Sheep and gone straight to a white noise machine, because it's light, it's portable, it's easy to travel with. You don't need Wi-Fi. You don't need your phone to be disappearing. Some of them you plug in, some are cordless. It had a lovely little night light, and there's a variety of different noises. With these, I had quite a few, because a lot of them where you plug in the USB, so it's usually on a USB cable, which goes into a charger, and then the little connection port here, I would travel with it without taking the cord out, and it would just break that little connection. Then we'd need to buy a new one. So I've put a link to the white noise machine that I used, and it was my final purchased one. As I say, I went through quite a lot, and this was actually my favorite one. It doesn't come with fancy colored lights. That's a nice idea, but we never used that. This one has just a yellow night light, which you can have at 4 different settings. It's not available on Amazon anymore, but I will put the not available link so you can just see it. And then on Amazon, there are so many you can choose. You might see it's called Mediacus or Mediacus white noise machine. I couldn't find an actual link to that website with the white noise machine, so it may well not be made anymore. But it's just for you to have a look and see. Basically, as I say, in my experience, I didn't need millions of different noises and sounds. I didn't need millions of different light options. I just liked different levels of brightness of light, and to use it as a night light and for the white noise. And mine was plug-in. It didn't even have a chargeable battery. I just have a really, really long cable for it. I don't think it came with a really long cable, but because it's got a USB ending, it's easy to find an extra length cable that we use. And potentially you don't even need a really long cable. You just plug it in your baby's room, and it gives that nice consistent atmosphere that's going to encourage your baby to stay in deep sleep and connect their sleep cycles. So we only use this at nighttime, unless of course your neighbors are doing building works or something like that. Then you might use it in your daytime naps as well. But we do like to help our babies distinguish between night and day and to create their night and day cycles. So nighttime for the white noise and the blackout blinds, and daytime a little bit lighter and not being so precious about sounds. With that, I've spoken about the blackout blinds. So I had the Grow blinds from the Grow company, which did the Grow egg, the Grow clock, the Grow blinds. They were called Grow Anywhere blackout blinds. However, I've seen that the company has been bought by Tommy Tippy. So they're now the Tommy Tippy blackout blinds, and they're amazing. We're still using blackout blinds through the summer, and we take them with us on holiday. And I know I may come under judgment for that. I should let my daughter get used to sleeping without blackout blinds. But it's such a non-issue for us. It's so easy to pop up the blinds and she sleeps. She sleeps really well. And in summer, to try and get your child to sleep, even with blackout curtains, there's still light coming through everywhere. So I find the blackout blinds are amazing, and we always travel with at least one, if not two. I make room in my luggage for them. So they've either got suction suckers that you stick onto your window. They've also got Velcro, so you can Velcro them to each other, or you can Velcro them in pleats so that you can make it smaller to fit your window. So yes, I've got two of those, and they have been amazing. And the link to the Tommy Tippy one is here, but I researched this and I found out that is the same as the old Grow blind that I had. It's just that the company was bought by Tommy Tippy, or it's a bigger company that owns both Tommy Tippy and this Grow company. So it is the same product. So I've put the link to that there. And there is one little toy that I love suggesting, and I made sure my daughter had when she was born, and it's the Lamar's, this one's called the Garden Bug, but it's baby wrist rattle. So it's like a snap bracelet, but it's soft, that goes around the wrist, and it's got like a little creature on it. The one is a frog and one is a fly, I think, and they shake it and they can play with it. But it also comes with stripy socks with little creatures on it, and that's very sweet. But the wrist snap bangles I used to put around my daughter's feet, and because she would kick, they would shake, and they contrast colors, so it draws the vision. And so it's one of my favorite developmental things. When your baby is on their back, what you want them to be doing from a physiotherapy perspective and getting nice and strong is that you want their chin to be moving downwards to their chest, so looking down, kind of orientating towards their body, because that's the start of getting the deep neck muscles and the core and the abdominal muscles nice and strong. And as soon as they're looking down and orientating down, their arms are going to start moving downwards, and that's how they're going to start reaching for their legs. And with it is that we also want the legs to be coming up against gravity. And it's like going to the gym. When you lie on your back and you put your legs down and then you lift them up, that's your lower abs, your core muscles getting really nice and strong. So we want our babies to be finding their feet. Now, this is not in the newborn phase, it's a little bit later, but we want them to start understanding that they have feet and that they belong to them, and they can lift them up and bring them, and then grabbing their feet. And so with the colors of these toys, because they are contrast, it visually draws the baby's vision there, and the baby then starts to bring the foot towards the face to see it. And there's the cause and effect, and there's the baby learning that that belongs to me. I just moved that and I brought it closer to me, and then they naturally will start to reach, and then we start to really get that lovely core engagement. The other thing is, because they've got a little rattle in them, the sound, it's another thing that draws the baby. So the baby will start kicking their legs and then hearing the sound, and then they notice them. So they're amazing for that early development. Your baby's not going to grab them first. Your baby will just start touching their legs first and gazing at them initially. But over time, it will encourage them to start reaching for their feet and curling up, what we call supine flexion activity, which is lovely and very important for development. The little socks are lovely as well, and that's obviously what they intended for. The rattles are supposed to go on the wrist. So yes, let your baby play with them, because it teaches them, here are my hands. It brings their hands in, it plays with them, it starts to maybe eat. Your baby will start to maybe suck on their hands a little bit or play with them, and that's also really important development. But I like to put the rattles on the feet, and the socks you can play with for fun, but I like a bare foot, because then the baby is touching their bare skin and they're getting a sensory stimulation into the foot sole, which is really important. That's when the baby starts to play with their bare feet. They're desensitizing the foot for later when they're going to stand on the foot and weight bear through it. So they need to desensitize through touch, but also by touching their bare foot. It's like doing their own skin to skin, and it gives them so much more sensory and developmental awareness of their feet. So if you can do these activities barefoot, it's better, which is why I say use the little wrist bracelets around the foot or around the ankle rather than the socks. But the socks, you know, when it's winter and it's cold, it's going to do all the lovely things. The baby's going to look at the lovely contrast and start picking the feet up as well. And it's not a rigid thing, it's just a little sock. So the baby will still get some sensory desensitization happening when they grab their feet in the little sock. So those are made by Lamar's, and the link is in the show notes. And finally, my last item on the list is something that I never had. And I don't think they were around. They may have been around, but I certainly hadn't come into contact with them when my daughter was born. So by that stage, I had been treating babies and children in my own home. So I had some physiotherapy mats that we had, and I just always thought, oh, I'll use those. Spoiler, I never did, because they were a pain and they were too thin and they were not non-slip, so they were very slippery, and oh, they were a nightmare. And in the end, what I had seen in a lot of children's houses were the foam squares, you know, the jigsaw puzzles, and those were lovely. And I created a little safe space for my daughter with the foam puzzles, and these were really cute and pretty and bright. And when she was younger, we played with colours and matching colours, and now we sometimes spell things out because they've got the letters and the numbers in them. So those are really nice. However, it's now become a bit of an eyesore because they're old and they're not as clean and fresh as what they used to be. And yeah, I've discovered something I think is better, and that is the Totter and Tumble playmat. It's called the Rambler playmat. Now, this is sold by the company directly. I'll put the link in the show notes, as well as I think John Lewis sell it, so you can have a look there. It is very expensive. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, which is why I haven't replaced my funny little foam squares. So if anybody is listening and has a discount code or wants to gift me a Totter and Tumble, I won't say no. They are amazing, and it's on my wish list at the moment. I think the smallest one, which is still quite big, you'll see, but they're like £160, but they are amazing. So they're these big mats, they memory foam, they wipe clean, they non-slip, they roll up if you want them to. They're nice patterns and colours. They're sort of soft grey and white, or lime green and white, and very gentle, that you can have them in your house all the time because they're not an eyesore, shall I say, and they work really well. They're firm enough that your baby can do their tummy time on them because they're not going to sink into them, but they're soft enough that it's perfect for a baby to, you know, to be and to play. And I would, if I could go back in time and do it again, I would have just got that because I think it looks really smart. And a number of my friends have them, and most of the little children I go and see, I either recommend them to buy these, and I say it's a bit of an investment initially, but it's well worth it. And a lot of people have them anyway. They've discovered them without me telling them. So I know them really, really well. And I do think they're a great product. I've got quite a lot of children with really complex neurological needs that I've seen, and when they say we need a physio mat to do physio, I say get one of these. Actually, we don't need these fancy physio mats or whatever. This is better, and it fits in the home. You can either roll it up or you can just leave it out because it looks good and it serves all the purposes you need it to do. So you can create a lovely little play area or a safe space. Go back and listen to my Truth About Tummy Time episode, where I talk a lot about a safe space for your baby to be doing their tummy time and their side lying on. And as your child gets older, it becomes their little play area. And then they learn to sit there and they can topple over and they don't get hurt. So it's a really good one. I think everybody needs to have a play mat. If you're not going to invest in something like this, then get the foam squares, because as I say, they're quite fun and they also do the job. The problem with those, again, is the foam squares, if you ever knock over a drink, it falls in between the cracks and then you have to take it all apart, and it's a bit of a mission. So rather get a full mat if you can, but you must have a mat where your baby can play, a big area, particularly if you've got these hard floors. I mean, if you've got lovely carpets that you can keep clean enough for your baby to be on, great, or you can just put a blanket down on a soft carpet. But always my number one thing in physiotherapy to help children with any kind of delay or to promote development is for them to have these lovely big areas where they can move and be free, and their movement is not in any way contained. So you do need to have a play area And if I could, I would have one of those, is what I'm saying. So I hope that has been helpful. It's gone on a little bit longer than I thought, but please send me any questions if you do have anything. Know that I love, love, love these products. I'm not just promoting something randomly. These are things I've been promoting for years and years, and I trust them and I think they're amazing. And I think each of them or something similar to them will make your life that much easier. And who wouldn't want that? So as always, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I wish you all the very best and all the very best for your baby.